All right, everybody. Shane here with daily-astrocat.com. And today we're going to talk about the astrology for the week of February 16th through the 22nd. Now, some of this is already old. I kind of got a little bit behind. Life happens, right? Just trying to get caught up here. So I got some stuff here for you. I call this the challenges and rewards of the Pisces season. And there's a reason for that. This is our astrological oddities and events for this week. So let's go. Let's take a look at them, okay? And as always, we start with the moon phase. So the moon phase for this week, the moon is going to reach her fourth quarter on Thursday. That's the 20th. The fourth quarter moon tribe, look, those folks show up to recalibrate. You thought I was going to say celebrate. Well, I wanted you to think I was going to say celebrate. Look, you guys that were born right around this time, you have a leg up on the week. This is where the ideas can grow. This is where we plan. This is where we have already had our harvest, and now we're at a point where we're ready to begin thinking about this anew. We do some rest, we take some relaxation, and we reset ourselves. This is what we do. For example, the best day to ask for a loan is either Monday or Tuesday of this week, right? The 18th or the 19th. Think about that. Now, make sure you do it before the Mercury is retrograde. Or do it before the Mercury retrograde. How's that? Makes more sense when I say it like that, right? This week is a reminder that sometimes the best approach to solving problems isn't mental, it's intuitive. It's what we know in our gut, right? Down here. Hand down here, pointing to gut. Okay. The sun enters Pisces this week on Tuesday, and it joins Mercury, Saturn, Neptune, and the North Node. Pisces is a place of the inner journey. It's a great source of spirituality and creativity. From the nodal perspective, we're beginning a great journey. That's right, because the Aries was the end of it. The nodes move backwards, so we can't start in Aries and then go to Taurus, like the order of the zodiac. We're beginning at Pisces and working backwards through the zodiac. That is interesting, and it's a great journey. And the reason why I call it that is that this is an inflection point in the human evolution. That beginning with those nodes in Pisces, that's the great journey we're beginning. We inch closer to what is known as a singularity, right? That merging of man and machine. Yeah, it's going to happen very soon, I have a feeling. So this week begins with the moon in Libra, and she's going to square Mars in Cancer. Folks are looking to you for a bit of guidance. Really? Reach out to them. Okay, Mars is slowing down and stations direct on this coming Sunday, February 23rd. Stationing is what we astrologers call slowing down, standing still, and then moving forward once again. So it's kind of like, okay? Now, remember, these retrogrades aren't Mars actually stopping in its tracks and then going back and forth. It's how we see the planets in the sky because we're moving in relation to each other. Okay? Now, that's an illusion, right? That's an optical illusion. It's kind of like when you're on the highway and you come up to a car and you're passing it, or or somebody passes you, and it seems like you can move backwards if it's big enough, right? You're moving backwards. It's not. It's just an illusion. That's what you're feeling, right? Now, this illusion, this can cloud our vision as well. Mars is strong right at this point, right? What the astrology tells us that when planets station, their influence is much stronger. When they go retrograde, they're closer to Earth too, so they're stronger as well. As this is ending, now we're starting to have it separate away, so it's going to appear to move normally throughout our sky with the rest of the planets on the ecliptic. This is where we're at. Now, Mars went retrograde at 6 degrees Leo on December 6th. Think about that. So the return of Mars, so Mars is going to actually at 17 degrees Cancer, and it's going to stay there until he goes direct. So from 17 degrees Cancer to 6 Leo, this is called the shadow area of Mars. So any actions that you've taken since December 6th, you're going to have a chance to go back and really revise them and see if you can rework some of what's worked for you and some of what's working better. And we can really move ourselves and our projects and everything forward by taking this opportunity to learn how to refine our actions and how they work. And we're going to do this with respect to how it makes us feel intuitively, because to think about this logically with the Mercury, particularly in Pisces, is going to be very difficult. And we have a Mercury retrograde coming up. So just so you know, we've got a Venus retrograde coming up and a Mercury retrograde coming up. Now, once we get to redo many of these actions, the results should be magnifico. That chef's kiss right there. Just perfect. Now, we've heard a lot of stuff about the parade of planets, right? You can see stuff on social media where they got them marked across the sky like that. This is a little different. This kind of looks like a crazy carousel, right? It looks like a carousel horse. It's like, why did you do that, Shane? Okay, let's talk about our planets here, because you notice that we've got some that are down lower than others, and then we've got other ones that are right in the middle. Saturn shouldn't be in that group. Saturn should be up a little bit. And the sun is actually going to be in that group until Tuesday, when it's no longer in detriment. So, what is detriment, Shane? Well, let's talk about Claudius Ptolemy and the Tetrabiblos for just a little bit. We're not going to really get into it and dig down into it, but this concept of the planets having a hierarchy in there is called the concept of planetary dignities. All right? Now, Ptolemy said that the planets exhibit conditions that are referred to as these dignity things right here. Now, this is based on tradition, right? It's not just Ptolemy saying this. He wrote it down, but he got from the Babylonian tradition, Egyptian tradition, Hellenistic traditions, all of that stuff. There's an Arabic tradition, too, that arises afterwards, and it's concurrent with all these as well. The original visible planets are assigned rulership over the signs of the zodiac, right? Now, think about this. The sun rules Leo, and the moon rules Cancer. People, for our podcast listeners, Leo and Cancer are together. In this particular chart I have here, they're in the 11th and 12th house, okay? So they're together. If you go outward from the sun and Cancer, the next two signs are Gemini and Virgo, respectively. So if I have my Leo in the 12th house and Cancer in the 11th house, in the 10th house I have Gemini, I have Virgo in the first house, okay? So that's those two planets ruled by Mercury. Now move two more out. 9th house is Taurus. 2nd house is Libra. The next two signs that are adjacent to Mercury are Venus, because Venus is adjacent to Mercury. Now, I can tell you now you can tell me without even me telling you, what are the next two houses? What are the next two signs? Next two signs are Aries and Scorpio, and those are ruled by Mars. Then we have the Jupiter sign, which is Pisces and Sagittarius, and that leaves us with Saturn. And Saturn actually has the 5th and the 6th house in this particular diagram that I have here, and that would be the ones that are opposite the sun and the moon, and that would be Capricorn and Aquarius. But Mars and Mercury are in fall. That means they are opposite the signs of their exaltation, where they perform the best. Where does Mars perform the best? That would be in Capricorn. Where does Mercury perform the best? That would be in Virgo. So we have Mars in Cancer, which is opposite Capricorn, and we have Mercury in Pisces, which is opposite Virgo. The planets in fall function differently than what is expected, and they do it in some surprising and sometimes contradictory ways. They can also magnify the negative traits of the sign that they're in just a little bit more, and they don't seem to really express themselves as well. Mercury in Pisces is best expressed as like nonlinear thinking at best, and when something doesn't interest Mercury in Pisces, yeah, that's just like outright cluelessness, right? It's like oblivious to whatever it is that's going on. Imagination thrives here. A lot of artists, a lot of people that are real pioneers in some of the things that they did. Idea-wise, which is really interesting because Mercury is the planet of ideas, but it's doing these things intuitively. It's got like a little feel to it, and it's got kind of going on. It's got it going on, right? Now, if you're feeling a little forgetful of late or blindsided, that could be this effect on you because think about it, Mercury is in Pisces, so everybody's got that little bit of fog going on, not just the natives of that, right? Now, this is not everyone's cup of tea, right? We don't like being blindsided by this stuff. We don't like being forgetful. We don't like having surprises pop up on us, right? So the best way to counter this, get organized and do lists, right? Because you got to bring some of that Virgo je ne sais quoi to it, right? That you gotta counter the Mercury stuff with the Virgo stuff. Just be like, okay, maybe I can do this, and then by the same token, some of that intuitive Mercury energy that we're starting to feel right now is going to inform our Virgo stuff and get into our details and our analysis and be like, hey, maybe this isn't quite all black and white, right? Maybe it's purple. Now, Mars in Cancer is our other planet that's in fall. Now, this one's tricky because not only is it the length of time that it's spent in it, because we've got from December 6th, Mars went back in, and it's going to be there until some point in April, I believe. Now, both Mars and Cancer, they're cardinal signs. It's headbutting, right? Cancer, Mars doesn't like Cancer. Mars just doesn't like it because it's opposite the discipline, that rigid discipline of Capricorn that Mars strives under. And what happens is that now it's kind of got that defensive, that everything's an insult. Everything is taken as a slight. It doesn't like being here. It doesn't like going backwards. It doesn't like not being able to act. It doesn't like thinking defensively and just sitting there, right? So Mars really hates it, right? Doesn't even like nostalgia much. Cancer adores the nostalgia. However, Mars is trine with Saturn, and Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn. Saturn sitting in Pisces is saying, hey, this ain't that bad. You got to just slow down. You can open yourself up to numerous possibilities. And the possibilities you can open yourself up to by calming the F down and just sitting there like a fighter in the corner between rounds, right? Getting the pep talk. Saturn's like, look, you're slowing down. You're going to be good, right? You're focusing. Focus that energy. You got to go for it. You're going to go for it, but you got to be able to get it and summons it, right? Any recent flurries of activities, look, if you're not in that corner sitting down listening to that Coach Saturn right now, those crazy activities that you're seeing and hearing about, they're going to have unintended consequences, right? The proper thing to do is we're going to take little actions and little corrections. That's what we're going to do. And especially after Mars goes direct, yes, little actions, little corrections. Now, Jupiter, Venus, and the Sun, they're in detriment. That's what it's called, right? Now, Mercury's also in detriment. Go figure, right? Because it's both exalted and in domicile in Virgo, right? Now, Mercury is in detriment, as is Jupiter. Jupiter is in detriment in Cancer. Venus is in detriment in Mars, and the Sun is in detriment in Aquarius. The Sun's going to be out on Tuesday because it's going to exit it, right? Now, planets in detriment, they kind of struggle, and they want to operate the way they normally do, but it's a little bit of a fight, right? You know, it's opposite the signs that they rule. It's not their exaltation where they're excellent, right? And they're trying to like go with it. No, they rule this. So by the polarities, they have an understanding of what the opposite sign needs, but it's difficult to express what it is that they need to be doing because there's that conflict, right? There's that tension, there's that polarity that sits there. Look, think about it. We showed in a separate video that Jupiter's, it's in on all the things that Gemini loves, right? It's there. It's like, yes, I like this. I like these ideas. I like this chattiness, this verbosity, this communication. Let's communicate more. But it also includes like stretching the truth and just exaggerating those communications and those ideas, right? Because they're expansive. It just goes. There's not really a check on it because it's like, okay, I just bought into what you're saying, and now we're going to buy into it in all the wrong reasons, right? Now think about it. The sun in Aquarius, that accelerated the embrace of AI. And it's also like impersonal and odd as, all get out, right? Odd AF. Just like, wow, this is just really strange. We're in a strange time right now, and we need to be coming together to do something different. But instead, we're coming together to do whatever is happening right now. Venus and Mars, that's exotic and almost forbidden. The raw sexual drive of Mars is smoldering beneath the veneer of force, charm, and grace. That's how Venus goes about her business, right? Now, think about it. My cosmology, Venus wants to be with Mars. Mars wants to be with Venus. Male and the female symbol, right? Natural, okay? Doesn't mean anything. But that's a natural attraction and it's opposites. It's opposites. That's why Venus is in detriment in Aries. It's an opposite. It's opposite Libra, right? The charm, the grace, the togetherness, the contracts, the hidden enemies, right? Mm-hmm. Hidden enemies. Mars likes them out in the open. All right. Look, this isn't an exhaustive list, and this is just based on observations that I've made over the years as an astrologer. And there's a little bit of cursory research that went into this. Now, should I do a much deeper dive on this? Yeah, I should. But my hope in presenting you with this information is just to inspire you to want to go deeper. This is like a humble introduction to what these dignities and energies could possibly be. Sometimes these things work, and other times you think, what a bunch of bull. Okay? I've chosen to focus on only the things I've seen in action, right? I'm not focusing on anything that I find dubious or questionable or anything like that. I find that these planets tend to work like this, and this is why I present this to you. Now, the sun is going to enter Pisces, and I call this Alpha and Omega because Pisces is both a beginning and an end on this particular chart. We can see that Pisces, pay no attention to the clock face on here, okay? Because it's right next to Aquarius. We've got 5 planets in Pisces at the current moment. The North Node and Neptune are conjunct just about at the last degree. We're talking 27 and 28 degree mark. We've got Saturn at the 19 degree mark, and we have Mercury at the 7 degree mark when the sun enters 0 degrees of Pisces. So there we have our little setup there. We've got to see what it is, right? The Pisces season is here. It's going to be gentler and more effective. No, it's not a laxative. Empathetic. Come on, Shane. I just wanted to get that laxative joke in there. The Lent season is an attempt to break addictive cycles involving food and drink that may have developed over the winter months. Kind of makes sense, right? Yeah, it is. It's where we begin our personal journeys and pilgrimages, misty blue and peregrine, ruled by both Jupiter and Neptune. Pisces is a result of the inward direction of Jupiter's expansive qualities. Neptune expresses Venusian themes of art and beauty and takes it to dizzying extremes, just like out there, right? Just go. Pisces, at the end of the zodiac, right? It's completion. The cycle completes and it goes way back into Aries. The year ends, the seasons end, and we enter that spring. Spring is that beginning. That's that beginning point. That's the way the ancients viewed it, and it's a good way to go, right? It's a good way to look at this. Pisces is also the beginning of the nodal cycle. So it's like an end and a beginning. Because the season's going to end, our zodiacal season will end, but the nodal season is going to begin in Pisces. It marks the point where we shed our skin, transform, and we're going to evolve into higher-minded, higher vibrational beings. It's fitting the first eclipse with the nodes in Pisces will be a solar eclipse in Aries on March 29th. Both nodes in Aries, nodes in Pisces, eclipses in Aries, Alpha, Omega, the beginning, right? This is what I mean by the Pisces season being exactly that, the Alpha and Omega. Let's talk about Mercury square Jupiter next, because this is where we're going with the week, right? This is going to happen on the 20th, which is Thursday. And Thursday, we're going to have Mercury square Jupiter. What's going on here, right? Mercury in Pisces isn't going to really like what's going on, right? It's like, hey, what are you doing in my sign there, guy? I don't think this is kind of like what I wanted. Now, some of us would want to believe that all the changes that are being forced through in a concerted effort are needed, necessary, and altruistic in nature. Right. Mercury in Pisces says, looking at it very warily. Jupiter is out of control, attacking the system like he is trying once again to establish control over heaven and earth. And there's more to it than that. This is to benefit the ruling class at the expense of the people. Once again, there will be a cynical ploy to push religion on social media. I've already stated this once. The Fourth Estate, the free press, is under siege. What's happening? Rich are going to gain more power. Now, let's see what happens when the Pisces season ends, okay? What are we going to be going into? How are we going to be dealing with this? And the moon is going to enter Capricorn and find Mars. Oh, this is where we come into it, right? Let's go. Moon entering Capricorn. I got this chart here for a reason, and the reason this chart is here is because when the moon enters Capricorn, that's where we're going to start to see the moon come opposing Mars, those forces, right? That balancing force. We've got Saturn right at the beginning of it, and this is going to be like, okay, well, Saturn is going to be, the moon will actually be sextile Saturn and then assisting Mars just at the right moment as Mars is getting ready to get turned direct and is focusing all of its power on that 17-degree mark in Cancer, that germinating phase, right? We talked about that. It's a germinating seed. It's something that's happening right there. That's that Sabian symbol for it. Why am I using Sabian symbols more? Well, because Mercury's in Pisces. The linear thinking, Mercury's in Pisces. No, that's not going to work. What's going to work is what we feel, what we're going to see. If we've got the moon sextile Saturn in this position, we can see how that's going to help. We can see how that's going to, like, that patience and discipline and that spirituality and those doors that are opening, those spiritual doors will come and open for Mars to be able to step through and say, okay, I got this. Because what's happening is that as the zodiac wheel, as the sun and the planets are going around, Mars is in the lead now. Venus was out ahead, but now you got Chiron in front of her. The sun's overtaking Uranus and Jupiter, and it'll be overtaking Mars. But Mars is going to be moving direct, is going to be going ahead of the planets at a very good clip. So we're going to see a very good pace. There'll be some things at pace that'll be happening. Now, our moon in Capricorn, it's a serious and almost spiritual message to Mars, right? There's a solemnity. I love picking words that I can't pronounce, right? Or they're difficult to pronounce. To this week that will beg for us to have the discipline and control to boldly adjust and evaluate what it is we need to do. Look, last Saturday I misspoke on my presentation because on my Sunday presentation, because it wasn't March 4th when Mars is direct, it's the 23rd. April 4th is the final trine with Saturn, and that's going to be a really, really keen inflection point, especially with this whole moon opposite, sextile Saturn opposite Mars, forming this whole relationship, and this is the culmination of this relationship, okay? You are going to approach this stuff seriously and consistently with great reverence. There are other worlds and dimensions that we're beginning to witness. Begin considering what the new moon in Aries, what your new moon in Aries intention will be. And that's going to be at the end of the month, right? Start by invoking that intention today. Honestly, that's what I'm talking about. Now, talking about this Pisces season, the challenges and rewards, I've got some other things I want to talk to you about because I just want to take a look at what some of the aspects here. This is an aspect chart, and you can see that we have that Mercury trine Mars. We've got Mercury trine Mars, and that's a line right there. I got a little blue arrow next to it. That is actually an applying aspect. So that means that aspect is they're coming into that particular relationship. So that trine relationship, that 120-degree trine. Now, an applying relationship, some folks, some astrologers, like to see these as being stronger. So that energy it's coming into that energy. So as it approaches it, we'll get more and more where the communication is more useful and more timely and that much more effective, and it's going to be, that's the action we're taking. We're taking greater care of our communication, and we're going to be refining it and redoing some of the things that we're doing to help us communicate more effectively through those micro actions. And intuitively, we will know that it's time to do that. Now, once we say that that's the case, you can go down the whole list. You can kind of see there's a list of aspects off to the side as well, and you can see that they are there's a conjunction in there. There's Mercury and Saturn conjunct. We have Mars and Mercury are trine. We've got the Venus-Jupiter sextile, and we also have squares, Mercury square Jupiter, and the Sun square Jupiter as well. And we have Mars still trine Saturn. So that's what I got for you on that. And here we have some of this asteroids. I wanted to put the asteroids off to the side. You can see where we have there's a couple forms of Lilith over there. You can see I've mentioned Haumea. Haumea is at 3 degrees Scorpio. So take a look at that list. Those are some of the Kuiper belt objects and also Oort cloud objects that are out there that are have very long orbits. Don't really take them too much into account in our astrology here. You can. There's folks who do. And that's what I got for you. Living lunar life, we are going to be talking about what this is, okay? As the sun reaches the anaretic degree of Aquarius, we've got a very compelling image in the Sabian symbols. And this is a direct quote. It's deeply rooted in the past of a very ancient culture, a spiritual brotherhood in which many individual minds are merged into the glowing light of a unanimous consciousness is revealed to one who has emerged successfully from his metamorphosis. That's where we're at. That's where we are at. That's where this node is at. That's where we are at with the sun leaving Aquarius and entering Pisces, Alpha and Omega, merging and then stepping forward. The end is the merge. The Alpha is the stepping forward into the light. And that's what I got for you. Please take the time to like this video. Smash that subscribe button below. Love you all. Thank you so much. Show me some love. Share it. Websites there. Podcasts is at YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you so much. Happy astrocatting.